What's an industry secret in the field you work in? Change your dirty furnace filters and clean your AC coils outside. These make up an easy 30% of my calls for no heat cooling. At Goodwill, 50% of what you donate ends up in the trash. BC, we don't have the space for it, or we just deem it too ugly. Our local thrift store has a semi-trailer sized dumpster behind it. They fill it every couple of weeks because most of the crap people donate was garbage to start with. They just didn't have anywhere else to dump it, so they donated it. Used to screen resumes for small companies. Job requirements are more of a wish list situation. Never let some unchecked boxes deter you from applying. You have no idea what the applicant pool is like. The biggest boon, especially at small companies, is someone who legitimately cares. Literally got a job last week that I was unqualified for. I said, fuck it, I'm running out of places to apply. Let's give it a shot. Couple days later they replied, set up an interview, and I somehow have a job tomorrow morning during a pandemic. Just go for it, can't hurt you. Some therapists, counselors are on the wrong side of the couch, so to speak. If you feel your mental health provider is unhinged, they may very well be. Former Bath & Body Works associate here. The sense they discontinue will come back with a different name and new marketing. They're just recycling the sense. I worked for the biggest Mast, the company that owns Bath & Body Works and is a division of L Brand contractor in Virginia, for 8 years. There are so many fragrances that are rebranded and recolored to a different flavor. Fragrance oil is absolutely 100% the most expensive part of any shower gel or foaming soaps we made. Odds are they have hundreds of thousands of pounds of these oils in warehouses all over the US. So they just rebrand it as something else. It's not like they are going to scrap it. Also, all this shit you see on the labels of shower gels and foaming soaps that say, enriched with vitamin E, or, contains aloe vera extract, is complete absolute fucking bullshit. We made our batches in sizes of 40,000 lbs. In a 40k lb batch, you had about 2 ounces of vitamin E you would add to the batch. And barely enough aloe extracts to even get it out of the fucking cup to add it to the batch. They add the absolute bare minimum to have it on the label. As required by FDA. Foaming soaps are also about 65% water, so they make an absolute killing selling them. Former aircraft fueler. Don't check your pets in kennels, especially in summer or winter. They are submitted to some very harsh environments. Left on belt loaders in the sweltering heat right next to a running APU that's loud enough to deafen human ears. Let alone a dog's. It's terrible. I always feel so sorry for them. American Airlines will destroy your luggage. They get overloaded on carts, fall off on the way to the plane, and are left there to get run over by tankers and yes, fuelers, and rained on. Then dragged to the edge of the ramp to sit all night while you arrive at your destination and wonder where the hell your bags are. If your departure is delayed, 90% of the time it's us, the fueler. Look out the window to the right side if it's a small plane. Left side if it's a really big plane. If there's a truck sitting under the wing. We're the reason you're late. Sorry. The cheapest bottle of wine in the restaurant has the biggest markup. And your $6 glass of sangria might actually just be boxed wine with some fruit in it. Very likely that it's made from all the bottles of wine that have been open for a week or two. There is way more butter than you think in almost every dish you eat at fancy restaurants. And that is usually the reason you won't see the amount of calories in each dish. Source: 5 years as a chef in Italian cuisine, head chef. 8 years in an Italian kitchen. Everything at the Container Store exists and is cheaper at Lowe's. Amusement park ride operator here. If your kid is crying and you want us to stop the ride, even if we want to, it's not gonna stop immediately. The carousel will spin a few more circles or the ship will swing a few more times before stopping. The only exceptions is the emergency stop, which will absolutely fuck up the ride for a while if we press it. Hence we only use it in actual life-threatening situations. The best thing you can do is try to get your kid to calm down as the ride comes to a stop, and no yelling, "Stop the ride," at us does not make it stop any faster. If you're someone who purchases bulk nuts, grains, etc., Just know that those bins are probably rarely cleaned. And even when they are cleaned, odds are they were just rinsed out, wiped down to look clean. I used to be a bulk buyer at Whole Foods Market, and when I took over, our bulk department had no cleaning logs or sanitizing procedure. The bins had moths, insect colonies and mold in them. Our store was opened nearly 5 years prior. Not an industry I work in per se, but I used to be in a sales role. One of my customers was a milk bottling plant. I was somewhat surprised that they were putting the exact same milk in both organic and non-organic cartons. Turns out all of their milk is organic. But in order to not miss out on the sales of non-organic milk, they just bottle them differently and sell them at different prices. At Goodwill, we don't clean anything that we sell. And we get some really gross stuff that touches everything else, so next time you buy something from Goodwill, wash it well. If in doubt, lubricate. I'm a machinist. If in doubt, tighten all the screws and bolts. I maintain heavy machinery. Federal HR here. If you put the words from the vacancy announcement about what you need to qualify in your resume, you'll almost always be qualified. We search for those words instead of reading an entire resume. Let me clarify that we, or at least I do and those I train, will continue to scan the resume for similar experience words and not discount the entire resume immediately. After over 10 years of working for HR, you learn what you're looking for and how to do it. Some are easier than others. I know of some our folks who totally just say non-qual if it's not exact. I wonder if companies with hundreds of resumes would get better hires from taking 50 and reading them carefully rather than putting 500 through an automated process. Well, first of all, what you do is take half the pile and throw it in the trash. You don't want unlucky people working for you anyway. Nobody uses bots to inflate metrics more than the most major players in the entertainment industry. All the numbers are fake, including sales. It costs about $200 to put your own book on the top of the New York Times bestseller list. All you have to do is buy a lot of copies yourself. And if that bestseller status helps you sell more books, you can make that $200 back by selling the big stock of books you've collected. Closing parenthesis. Healthcare. Homemaker. If your grandparent or parent gets in home care, please know that your family member could live in a cockroach-infested house and not have to move if they didn't want to. It's not up to the company to give your loved ones environmentally safe places to live. It's up to the family. They can certainly try to persuade, but they can't force. Why do I know this? Because I've been to the cockroach-infested house where an 80-year-old woman lives. I have a mentally ill client that put bleach in his dog's water to help with its breath. I have a client who never cleans his cat box. I have a client who has a caved-in ceiling. I've called it in, but there is no help from the company. All they say is, there's nothing we can do. It's up to the family members. It's a sad thing because there are so many family members and friends who really don't give a shit how some people are living. Sure, they'll visit, but do they clean the litter box? Do they make sure there are no cockroaches? Do they make sure the house is stable and not falling apart? No. They say they care and that they love the person, but they don't care enough to make sure they live in a healthy environment. It really worries me, because if I imagine my own mother having such a deteriorated mind and there were no other family members to help her, she could live in a run-down, cockroach-infested house if she was stubborn enough. It frustrates me, because whereas the client does have rights, should they really have the right to live somewhere where their health could be at risk? Where their caregivers could be at risk as well? You'd be surprised how willingly someone will do their job and even go above and beyond if you just compliment them for their professionalism, politeness and how they are helping them. As a cashier, I am not even ashamed to admit that I will do more for you if you tell me I'm being helpful. I've had so many free upgrades, like a large coffee when I asked for a medium, or extra food on the plate from just being super polite and friendly. I go really overboard if the customer in front was being rude as well. It's a win-win. I also don't understand the mentality of talking down to someone who's serving me. I mean, without them, I wouldn't get served. Worked at a department store photography studio owned by a major photography company that you can imagine probably took your school yearbook photos. The company also is partnered with a popular online photo order website. Notice how quickly we write down a price. Strike it out, and write a new price as the deal. Yeah, that's pretty much just the price that everyone gets. We aren't doing the math that fast. We have it memorized because almost everyone that comes in has that 40% off coupon. Don't come in without a coupon. There is always a coupon on the website. If you end up paying for sitting fees, it's because you just didn't go on our website. Honestly, don't buy our photos. If you just do the session and say that you'll buy them online later on said partnered photo order site, it'll be cheaper than if you buy them in store that day. Yes, even when we say, oh, but you won't get this deal online. If you do buy in studio that day, just buy the digital CD of your photos. You get to keep all of them instead of having to pick your favorite 3 to 4 pictures. Oh, and again, it is way cheaper to take that CD to a photo kiosk and have them printed yourself. Please don't spend $400 on a couple photos that you can't legally copy when you could have gotten an $80 CD of all the photos and have the copyright to them. In Microsoft Office, Word specifically, you can upload recorded interviews and it will transcribe it and ever have speaker 1 and speaker 2, 3 and 4, basically, eliminating a huge annoying part of the job. I'm a fossil replicator and apparently the industry secret is the fact that we exist. So many people are blown away to learn that most fossils they see in museums are replicas. Construction boy here. If your windows or sliding doors are tough to open and close, 9 times out of 10, we put your own dish soap on tracks and the thing works perfectly. It take 5 minutes and we charge $150. Dish soap people, it's better than WD-40 sometimes. Literally not 5 minutes ago I was closing the slider in my bedroom thinking, it's time I finally look up solutions to make this thing glide easier. So I hopped on the internet. Naturally got distracted by Reddit first. And now here we are. So serendipitous. The industry-leading software is about at least 10 years old at its core. If it works, it works. We don't know how it works. It just does. Single quote. The coder wrote a bunch of spaghetti code, didn't leave comments, and retired 5 years ago. There are comments. They're just vague as all fucking in French. I actually found that in production code. When I asked who the fuck wrote it as nobody on our team speaks French. I was told that we got the code for that service from the internet. I was flabbergasted.